Hey guys! It's a bit noisy. Quiet! My naughty little sister have been a bit crazy. Okay, now let's start reading story table manners. Sorry for little days that I didn't read. And now let's start to read it.
Table Manners, written by Curtis Norris, illustrated by Link Ness. Once there was a family of ogres that lived in a cave in the forest. There was Mr. Smacklips, Mrs. Smacklips, and little Johnny Smacklips, their son. Wow, it's so yummy!
Once there was a family of ogres that lived in a cave in a forest. There was a Mr. Smacklips, Mrs. Smacklips, and little Johnny Stacklips, their son. They were friendly ogres, but they did not have very good manners. One night at dinner, they all rushed to the table as usual. "Oh boy," said Johnny, "roast beef, my favorite." And he reached across the table to grab some roast with his hand, which were still dirty from playing in the forest. "That is, son," said Mr. Smacklip. "Dig it." His mouth was full of potatoes and little bits flew across the table when he spoke. Mrs. Smacklips just smiled noisily with her mouth open so you could see everything inside. And so chomped, smacked the lips and spilled things until the food was gone. It was messy dinner, indeed. Indeed. Yes, indeed. I just a bit accidents. When Johnny said the king of the forest is having the feast next week, everyone has been invited but us. "How come we aren't invited, Mom?" Mrs. Smacklips picked her teeth with a fork and said, "I have no idea." Mr. Smacklips, "You go and see Mrs. Fox and ask her, why are we not invited?" Go outside, my little sister. Mrs. Smacklips. Okay. So Mr. Smacklips burned a big burp, got up from a table and went to Mrs. Fox. At Fox's house, Mr. Smacklips said, "Everyone has been invited to the feast, but my family has not been invited. Do you know why, Mrs. Fox?" "Well," replied Fox, "I'm afraid you were not invited because your family and you do not have a good table manners." Quiet, please. "Table what?" asked Mr. Smacklips. "Manners," repeats Fox. "Good manners when eating. Don't worry, I will come to your house for dinner tomorrow night and teach you when maybe you'll be invited to the feast." "Okay," said Mr. Smacklips, unsure. Well, then he went home to tell his family. Manners. The next evening, Fox went to dinner at the ogre's house. As usual, they all rushed to the table to eat. "Wait a moment," said Fox. "Please, everyone, show me your hands." All the three ogres held up their hands. They were all very dirty. "Before you sit down, you all need to wash your hands," said Fox. "You all must have clean hands before you eat, like me, like mine." The ogres looked at Fox's hands, which were shiny and clean. They all washed their hands until they were clean too. Then they all washed their hands until they were clean too. Then they all sat down at the table. Johnny reached across Fox's plate to grab some corn. Wait, said Fox. Do not reach for the corns. That's bad manners. Say, please pass me the corn. Please pass me the corn, said Johnny politely, and Fox passed the corn to him. When everyone had food on their plates, they began to eat. Mrs. Smacklips chewed her food noisily, her mouth open as usual. Excuse me, Mrs. Smacklips, said Fox, but you should eat with your mouth closed and not making a noise. Oh, I see, said Mrs. Smacklips, and she closed her mouth while chewing. It was much nicer that way. No. That's it, dear, said Mr. Smacklips proudly. His mouth was full of corn and sprayed across the table. Don't talk with your mouth full, please, said Fox. Swallow your food first, then speak. Mr. Smacklips swallowed his food and said, Thank you, Mrs. Fox. I won't talk with my mouth full anymore.
Thank you. And so they had a
very pleasant dinner, and there was no messy on the table. Well done, said Fox. You all have good table manners now, and I have something for you. The king of your forest sent this invitation for your family to join the feast. No! Sorry.
Thank you so much.
Do not take my rules. If you want to take my rules, ask for